I literally just dropped something. I hope I didn't break it. My new microphones. I'm trying to help you guys hear me better here. So let's see if I can plug this in actually. And see if this works. Sorry for the slow start there, guys. Okay. Somehow did something. Okay, let's talk about water today. Wow, already the thumbs up. I think I might have broken this. That would be sad news. All right, guys. Today I'm gonna do my morning routine, which I always do. And this is my carbon distiller. My morning routine always starts with clean water. So I'm gonna start making it right now. I already filled it up and just turn it on. Oh, there we go. So that's how you clean water. Carbon distillation, guys. Or I ran it through reverse osmosis and then I run it through my distiller. That's how you clean your water. You kind of have to do a double type of filtration. If you really want your water clean, watch my video 388 for the details on that. And you guys are welcome to ask any questions while I'm doing my morning routine. Because in my personal opinion, guys, is your water making you sick? Or can it potentially be the very thing that actually helps you improve your health? Hey, Christiana. So I'm gonna see what kind of questions you guys have today and answer some of those in regards to water. I even have a lab report I can show you guys. I go all over it on video 388 though, if you want to watch it there, because I'm also just going to make my normal morning breakfast, quote unquote, morning routine. In fact, hold on, I'm going to try to grab my, oh no, boy, I am not prepared today. I'm looking for my apron and I don't have it. Could I do it without the apron? I mean, I could, but I really like to have it. So you know what I'm gonna do, guys? My apologies. I'm gonna go grab it. It's downstairs, so you're gonna have to give me a second. So just be patient with me. I'll be right back and go get that apron because I always like to wipe my hands on it and prevent my shirt from getting stained and all that kind of stuff. Hold on. See if I can find it here. All right. And then maybe see some of your questions. And all right. Let me know if you can hear me as I was walking away. It's kind of curious whether this microphone's picking everything up. So let's try the microphone and maybe I'll attach it to what we're doing here. So apologize for the slow start. Let's try to put this, I'm doing this so you guys can hear me while I walk around. So I'm doing it for the viewers, guys. Help answer any questions. Trying to put it somewhere where it won't get in the way, hopefully, and make too much noise. I feel like that's still a bad spot. All right, fine. I'm just gonna put it on the apron. I didn't want to do that, but there we go. Okay, we'll see how that works. Okay, guys. Yes, you hear me loud and clear. Great. All right, guys. I'll apologize for all that. Let's make morning breakfast. So I'm cleaning the water. If you guys can't see and you need to get a better angle, actually, maybe I'll put it over here. Does it reach? No, it doesn't quite reach. So let me know if you need a better view. Okay, so let's get started. Why do I make the smoothie? So the first thing I do with my morning protocol is I start cleaning the water. I already drank my hydrogen water. If you guys want to see, you know, I already drank mine. I'm making more now for the smoothie just because I can, because I got a hydrogen generator that can make all the hydrogen water I want. But I already drank that in the morning. Now let's get started with the smoothie. The purpose behind the smoothie is to bring a lot of nutrients to the body, bring a lot of fiber, antioxidants, minerals, on and on it goes. But the nutrients, you're not going to get enough nutrients, I must say. You're not going to get enough nutrients from just doing a normal smoothie. It's just not going to be enough. So I supplement it. Yes, loud and clear. Awesome. I supplement it with a purium powder. Why do I use purium? Because the high purity, and it's like a multivitamin, but everything in it is food. And so that's the reason that I'm choosing that. And I put this in a plastic tub because it's more convenient. So what's this plastic tub is not actually what's in there. It's purium in here. And so let's put some of this. I put 2 big scoops, and I've obviously done a lot of blood work to make sure that it's working to get all these nutrients in me. So let's see here. And then the next thing I do, I'm really big on food. And the reason I like food, as far as not just like eating it obviously, but like for nutrients, is because the body just responds better to it. And so the next thing I like to put in here that I can get pretty inexpensively is 100% organic turmeric or turmeric. And that's going to be the next ingredient. But you know, if we really want to talk about water, you guys let me know what you really want to talk about. I'll share this information on the smoothie while I'm making it, but I don't think people can appreciate or really understand how much your water really could be making you sick. I have a lab report here, which I'll show you in a little bit when I'm done making this smoothie if you want. But all water filters are not created equal, guys. You know, like people who use like the refrigerator water filter, or maybe just like a under the sink one. I'm not saying that they don't remove anything, but for what I want to do, I don't want to just remove some things. I want to like really, really get everything out of the water. I'm going to put some green matcha in here, Japanese, of course, 100% Japanese, because they make the clean stuff. So, you know, if I were to just give you examples of things in your water, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether it's fluoride, whether it's microplastics, whether it's heavy metals, whether it's viruses, bacteria, parasites, I mean, even mold, the whole thing is nuts in my personal opinion. So it's very, very crucial. If you guys want to know how I clean my water, obviously it's a website called mypurewater.com. That's what I choose to use because it's American made. They're, in my opinion, somebody just messaged me right before I started this video, actually, which is kind of funny. They're saying that they decided to get a cheap distiller, and I'm like, well, okay. And now they messaged me and said, well, I regret that. I should have bought the one that you recommend. They said I would have, all the money that I spent on the cheap one, you know, now I got to go and buy the right one anyway. And that's the case for a lot of things. That's why I just recommend some really good stuff. You buy one time, and that's the end of it. And I just realized, and you want it to be effective at doing what it's supposed to do. Guys, I just realized again, I don't have enough greens here. Usually I prefer super greens, but I don't have enough here, which means I got to go downstairs and grab my last batch, because none of us, well, I'm not gonna say none of us, a lot of people don't eat enough greens. They don't even have vegetables. And it's funny that some people tell you that they're even bad for you. I'm gonna go grab, isn't that funny? They're like, it's bad for you, don't eat vegetables. And as a kid, we were always told, eat vegetables. So let me go grab my greens. I keep, apologize for all this, but you know what's great for me is that it's exercise. Going up and down stairs, stuff like that, you know. Good exercise. I'm always just grateful to be able to walk. As crazy as that sounds, but you know, it's something that people take for granted. And you know, I'd be curious, are you guys able to help or hear me when I walked away? I was talking to you guys. I'm curious if the microphone is working that whole time. All right, let's see what questions you guys have. Joanne Moser says, have you ever tried mineralizing your water with humic acid since it's plant-based mineral rather than inorganic? I was thinking about getting a distiller and using that. Look, there's many different ways you can mineralize water. Personally, most of your minerals, just so you know, are supposed to come from your food. Hence the reason I'm making this smoothie also. It's really good for getting a lot of minerals in you. But also the fiber works with the minerals. So one of the things that I do is I actually use a product from Pure Black, Shilajit, because of the minerals, and I put those in my water in the morning with my hydrogen. So if you guys want a discount code on that, if you decide to go to the Pure Black website, it's the same name as the channel. And if you want to support what I'm doing, because all the money goes to doing all this, the code is Uprising144K. They give you a discount. So that's how I like to mineralize, because I like natural stuff too. But I also use concentrates minerals. Christiana says, how often do you think well water should be tested? Well, here's the thing. It's not about how often it should be tested. No water is going to be perfect. I've seen that very clearly now in the world and in America. No water is going to be perfect. So what should you do? If you run it through the carbon distiller, you don't have to be testing it all the time. You just run it through your carbon distiller and it's going to come out clean. That's the whole point of it. You know, you don't have to try to constantly figure out, because your water quality is going to be different day to day. And as long as you clean it, you're going to be fine. I run it through the reverse osmosis first, and then I put it in the distiller. That's, in my opinion, the best way to do it. But if you don't have access to that and you just need one machine, then the distiller also has a carbon option. So it does the distillation and the carbon filter. And they have all the lab tests about how good it works. And that's the way to go. You know, the minerals, I mean, I've literally drank a lot of distilled water without ever putting minerals. And for years, because I get my minerals from this smoothie. So, but I do like some minerals in my water, mostly because of the hydrogen aspect. And how hydrogen kind of works synergistically with the minerals. And so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Do you guys have a good enough view, or do you want me to move the camera? Just let me know. Okay, let's see. Somebody would say, I mean, I don't use humic acid for, you know, mineralizing my water. I just like normal minerals. Okay, Nordieti says, I can't seem to get my dogs to drink enough hydrogen water. One of them is getting bad hips. Any tips for them? Oh man, that's a tough one. How do you help somebody if they don't ingest it? Not Work says, I saw you were getting a blood ozone the other day. Is there any concern that causes oxidative stress in the blood vessels? Not really, because look, we already inhale oxygen, okay? And ozone, you know, they put it in my blood. Do I get it every single day? No. It was a one-time deal because of the stem cell treatment that I was going to be doing. Ozone's really good for killing pathogens, hyperoxygenating the system to make sure that the stem cells that I was going to get are going to be doing the best that they can be doing for me. And of course, I was already using hydrogen. See, when you use hydrogen, you don't have to worry about these things. That's why I like using hydrogen and clean water foundationally, because I actually believe that more data is going to come out about this in the future. I actually believe that we're going to find out that hydrogen actually enhances how ozone works, because you need oxidants. They're part of the whole cycle, but even though you need them, you need something to also combat them. It's kind of like exercise. Exercise technically is damaging your muscles, guys. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's damaging them. It's the recuperation that your muscles get stronger and you get healthier. Like you need gravity, for example, on your body. Sometimes gravity hurts people because, well, I don't need to explain all that, I don't think. And yet, we need gravity for the health of our heart and our bones and stuff of that nature. So, okay, now these are raisins that have been soaked in hydrogen water. If you notice, one of the tips I do for my smoothies and my health is lots of water. So I don't want dried raisins. I wanted my raisins to soak up the water so that I can bring more water into my system. in different ways. And with food, it's a really, really wonderful way to do that. So here's some other ones. Chia seeds soaked in super clean water, oftentimes hydrogen water. A lot of good omegas, a lot of good minerals. You're worried about minerals. Look at all the minerals in all these foods that I'm putting in. And now the chia seeds has a lot of minerals, a lot of fiber, a lot of nutrients, even protein. Some people just hyper focus on protein, but. And then this one is the walnuts. Can you guys see? Can you guys see clearly? Let me know if you need me to move the camera. I think I can put it over here if you guys need. Now, walnuts, dried walnuts, and I soaked them in water too, overnight. Again, really good fats, really good for the brain. A lot of these foods are anti-parasitic, antiviral. You know, really good stuff. And this is literally my breakfast every single day. You guys have probably seen these videos a million times. And mostly I'm turning on the camera to allow you guys to ask me questions for free so that you don't have to, you know, email me and ask questions. And I don't like to charge people. I want to do everything for free as much as I can. But once you need, you know, personalized help, it's difficult to do that. Now we're going to do blueberries. Super good for the vascular system, anti-angiogenic, basically appears to be anti-cancerous. All organic, of course, the best that we can do. Everything has to be done the best that we can do. From the quality of our food, to the quality of our water, to the quality of our hydrogen. So yes, let's go with that, shall we? All right. What else are we looking at, everybody? Okay. Someone says, do you soak the chia seeds and nuts in just distilled water or H2 water, and why are you soaking them? Simple answer is yes. Sometimes it's just the distilled water. Sometimes it's just, sometimes it does have the hydrogen in it. It just depends what I have available at the time. And I do it because, as I kind of just stated, I think that you want to have more water in your food. You don't want your food, you really don't want your food to be dry food for the most part, because dry food pulls water out of your system. You don't want to do that. You want food to bring water into the system. This is why I like to do steamed food, boiled food, fermented foods. And in this case, a lot of foods, if you notice, all these foods are carrying water. These are not dried foods. You know, the blueberries, the greens, the chia seeds, the nuts, the banana that I'm just putting in there. And I'm going to put more stuff in there. But I didn't know. You know what? I want to make sure that you guys can see, though. I'm going to unplug the phone. So let's see if you can still hear me. So I can bring it over here because that's where you guys can see it closer what I'm doing. Now what's the next food? You don't have to use the same recipe I do. You have to find the ingredients you can find in your area. This is ginger. Ginger, numerous health benefits for ginger. And so let's put some of this in the smoothie today. If you can find it, root vegetables or stuff that has to do with roots, like carrots, like the ginger, you really want to get organic as much as possible. You know, you want to have them as clean as possible. Part of my protocols is definitely removing, or at least minimizing, trying to remove impurities, whether it's pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, you know, everything organic as much as possible. Everything to the cleanest. I really think that a lot of chemicals are not helping us with our health. This is why my protocol is all about purity, guys. That's what I do. It's all about the purity. And I don't take off all the skin. I just take off the little bits that don't look super great. And then I keep the ones that look kind of decent in my eye. And here we go. Let's get some ginger in here. And if you want to know the health benefits of any of these foods, you can just easily Google it. Like health benefits of ginger, health benefits of blueberries, you know, on and on it goes. So if you want to learn about every single thing that I'm putting in here. All right, what is next? And boy, does this help you have really good bowel movements too. Oh, snap. I don't think I have enough celery, but I just remembered. There was some celery in here that was going bad. So let's use it up, shall we? Celery is really good for you. All right, let's see here. Deborah says, I've only recently discovered your channel and subscribed. Thank you for all the different information you are sharing in all ways. Also, what is your opinion on spring water? You know, I think spring water's great. The problem is, and there's a major problem these days with water in general, from what I've seen and all the lab reports and everything that I've seen, guys, the world is just so polluted. You're not going to find clean water. I know a lot of people try to argue with me about that and say, well, I found this well or I found this spring, but when there's wildlife, you're talking about animals, you know, peeing around there, having bowel movements around there. I mean, that's one of the studies they did on meat, by the way, on beef. They studied beef throughout the nation, and they found every single time, not just sometimes, every single time they tested it, it always tested positive for fecal matter. And that is dirty, you know, and I don't believe it's good for us. I think, again, cleanliness is a huge part of my protocols. It's a huge part of Japanese life too, by the way, and I've learned a lot from the Japanese, who have the longest life expectancy of any industrialized nation in the world. And so when you run it through your carbon distiller, or you pre-filter it with reverse osmosis, and then you run it through the distiller, you're guaranteeing that you're going to have clean water. And the biggest thing that the distiller does too, it does a lot of good stuff, but it gets rid of viruses, bacteria, parasites, mold, you know, something that other water filters really just can't do because it's not technically a filter. It's a distiller. You're distilling. And so that's just my opinion, guys. Take it for what it's worth. But that's what, look, my promise has always been, I will show you what I do. And I will only do what the best for me is. I will not do it just for like money or clicks, which is probably why I don't have a lot of viewers, because there's not a lot of, you know, I don't have big money backing me up, putting me on big shows like, you know, talking with Dr. Mercola or, you know, like a Dr. Gundry or something, you know, because there's a lot of money involved in that stuff. And someone like me comes in and says, hey, guess what? You don't need to take that many supplements. But that's what everybody tries to sell you, supplements. You know, there's a few things I use, not a ton. You guys are already looking at a lot of it, the Purium powder. In fact, if you want to know where to get it, the website is ishoppurium.com. And I don't necessarily, I mean, they make good products, but the only one I like is the one called the Power Shake. I mean, it's not the only one I like, actually. They had this one called Apothecary. Man, that stuff was awesome. Actually, it was really impressive. They just have really high-end products, high purity. If you want a discount code, as you probably already know, it's Uprising144K, and it supports the channel and what I'm trying to do to help you guys. Okay, so let's keep going. This is celery, of course. I'm sure you guys either know the benefits. If you don't, you can Google them. There's so many. To be honest, from the things I've read from Japan, you can look at a food and say, oh, this food is good for this or good for that, but they're always learning new stuff. And you know what I'm thinking about doing today? You guys want me, I'll let you guys decide. You want me to put in my secret ingredient, which is natto? You want me to put natto in the smoothie or no natto today? I'm fine either way. I probably should put it in there. But let's see here. Let's see, somebody said, Christiana, are you going over your new protocol soon? Yeah, I'm going to be making a video about how I'm doing this new thing with the pure black shilajit. I'm going to be, I kind of already made the video, but I didn't release it yet because it didn't seem like super good. Let's see here. Do I have any natto? I kind of thought I did, but maybe I don't. Oh, I guess I don't. Well then, there goes that. I offered you guys something that I wasn't able to deliver on. For that, I apologize. I'm checking, but I don't see it. You know what? I probably have it downstairs, so I'll skip it today. It's fine. My bad. Sorry to give you guys the option and take that option away from you. Okay, let's see. Someone says, can hydrogen help with mental health, anxiety, and depression? In my personal opinion, absolutely. You know, and the reason I say that is because it's, look, you have to understand whether your depression is coming from either something physical and biological, or if your depression is is coming from your situation. Like you're like, oh, I just broke up with my boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, or I just had some really bad health issues, or you have to know what's causing the depression. Because if it's something, by the way, these are some beets I'm about to cut. If it's something that is your life, like let's say you're working a job that you absolutely hate and you're so depressed over it, I don't think that hydrogen's going to fix that. If it's some type of imbalance due to your, dysbiosis in your gut, um, something in your water that you're drinking that you don't even realize because you don't really filter it very well, or you don't take good care of yourself and your gut's a mess, because your gut is hugely related to mental health, by the way. And all these protocols that I have are super good for the gut. I've helped a lot of people with gut issues overcome major gut issues. And so, yeah. All right, let's try to get some beets in here. I love beets. The color is so beautiful. The Japanese believe in different colors of foods having certain benefits to the body. And I kind of agree with that. And we're learning more about stuff like that, like with the whole methylene blue thing and how these colors and different frequencies and different effects on the body. So let's see here. What's next? Yes on the natto. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, somebody said, I order pure. I'm using your code and I love it. Have you tried the unflavored? Yeah, I didn't like the unflavored one. It's not a huge, I like the one with the apple flavor. Joni says, considering the fecal matter in the water, like you were saying, do you purify your shower water in some way? I don't. Well, actually, okay, that's a lie, I guess. I do have a certain type of water filter for the shower, but I wasn't talking about fecal matter I was talking about fecal matter in meat. That was the studies, or in a lot of like well water or water that hasn't been treated. Because when you treat the water at the water plant, yeah, they use chemicals and it kills a lot of these pathogens and stuff. But even though they do that, I don't want to ingest all that stuff. So then I filter all the stuff that they're using to, do the water treatment. So I don't know if that answers your question, but. Okay, what's the next one? I'm glad you are having, okay. Carol says, I'm glad you have been doing live chats every time you make your smoothie. I'm glad I caught you live. Woohoo! Hey, Carol, nice to see you. And then Carol says, Apothecary is awesome and it's in a glass bottle. Yeah, the Apothecary is incredible and highly recommend that one to try it. And it's not even expensive. Could you talk about your opinion on methylene blue? I hear mixed opinions. My opinion is that it appears to be good, but I do think it matters how you make it, just like the hydrogen. So how you make it really, really matters. Do I use it? I don't, because I don't feel the need to. With everything that I've already done and how everything's going, it's great. I don't feel like I need it. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have any benefits. I think it probably does, based on a lot of the data that's coming out about it, but it's not at the top of my list as far as priorities, I'll tell you that much. Like RFK, I like RFK, but he's like, his priority is getting his methylene blue in him, but my priority would be to clean the water. Water is foundational to my protocol. I just can't emphasize it enough. Clean water. I think that's the reason they polluted our water. I think foundationally you want clean water and clean air. That is just it. And then clean food too. Hydrogen is just like the magic. Hydrogen is just, just next level stuff. But just like the Japanese really value their water and they value, you know what I'm gonna do? I could put more carrots in here, which would be fine. And I already put a lot of chia seeds in there, but you know what I like? I'm gonna put more chia seeds. More. Why more? It just makes, it makes a smoothie really creamy. And they're not expensive and they're really quite good for you actually. I'm gonna just put a little extra. It just makes it a good texture. Then I'll get my other secret ingredients and show you the secrets to overcoming these nutritional deficiencies. You know what? It looks like I still have room for a carrot, another one. So let's do it. Let's put another carrot in here. Carrots are good for you. And they're really, One of the reasons I started putting them in here, a lot of the ingredients, I wanted to choose things that were affordable. Because if I choose crazy expensive ingredients, I could, and this smoothie could cost me a fortune. The problem is that I make it every day. So I try to pick ingredients that are good, but affordable. Carrots are affordable. Celery is affordable. You know, beets are affordable. I mean, I get 3 giant beets for $3. You know, I get a whole bag of carrots. It's like a 5 to 6 pound bag, and I get it for like $6. You know, so I buy all this stuff, and yeah. Okay, let's put some hydrogen water in here. Doesn't have to be hydrogen water in the smoothie, just an FYI, but there is some data that suggests, because there's no total evidence at this time, but I don't care. I have a hydrogen generator, guys. Why not? Look at this. I got all the hydrogen water I want. So why not? I got nothing to lose. I already cleaned the water. But if you don't have it, then just use the this carbon distilled water. But this is the way I do it. There you go. Let that hydrogen soak in there. And I like to put the top on it so that the hydrogen doesn't escape as fast. And the research that I saw was that the hydrogen appears to be soaking into the food. You know? And so it's soaking into the food and appears to literally enhance it by a lot. It wasn't a small enhancement. It was so big that I was like, okay, let's start soaking this in there. One thing I'd love to put in my smoothie every day is avocados, but that would get expensive. I usually put an avocado in my salads every day. All right, now I'm going to show you how I'm going to make this stuff for tomorrow, so you guys can see how I prepare for the next day. This is just such a routine for me. All right, let's do that. Yes. All right, guys. See, because these are all dried foods, let's reconstitute them. Somebody said, I found regenerative farming chia seeds. Hey, there you go. Notwork says, I know your distiller is made in America. Is there one made in Japan that you like? Somebody says, great question on the blue. Situational depression. I'm in therapy, so I'm into mental health. Okay. All right. So, and then weekly Alexa is waving. Is that, do we have AI in here? Okay, so let's see. What was the question? Oh, Japanese distillers. You know, I haven't, but here's the thing about distillers. I'm going to do the walnuts for tomorrow, guys. The thing about distillers is they don't require any special technology, just so you kind of understand. Distillers are just pretty simple. I'm actually going to pour this. There's a bunch of shavings in here. I'm just going to put them in here because you don't want to soak the shavings. So I'm just going to put them in the smoothie. But when it comes to distillers, you don't need any great technology. You can even buy a cheap one if you really wanted to. It's just that they won't last as long and they're not going to be as good, but good enough, right? But I just prefer a high quality one because you buy a good one, American made, higher grades of stainless steel, and something that's going to be reliable. I run the crap out of mine. I just run it all the time. And I've really had very, very good luck with this company. And so, yeah. So I think, you know, but it doesn't mean you have to use the ones I recommend, especially if you're outside the country, because then it gets trickier. But yeah, the Japanese, if they were to develop a distiller, I think it'd probably be a little more expensive, but they probably would do a great job. I mean, I could look into it, but I don't believe they make any distillers. Okay, so for this one, just because I'm going to use the reverse osmosis. This is just to kind of soak them and get some of the film off the nuts that they have on them. So this goes in the fridge. The nuts don't need to be my most expensive water, because if you notice, I dumped the water that the nuts were in, I dumped the water out. Now for the raisins, it's different. For the raisins, I dumped the water into the smoothie. So for the raisins, I'm going to do something different. I'm sure you know all the health benefits of raisins. And I'll tell you one thing, if you follow this protocol, you'll never be constipated. I've worked with people with so many constipation issues and IBS and Crohn's disease and celiac disease and leaky gut and all sorts of gut issues. They follow my protocol, they all get good if they truly follow it, you know, because some people get lazy. But yeah, I've shown a lot of people this one. Now this one I'm going to fill up with hydrogen water, so Give me 1 second. I guess you guys can't see it because I can't carry the camera around. But it's okay, I'll show you what I did here. So it's soaked in hydrogen water. Seal that up, put it in the fridge. The colder the water or the colder the environment, the longer the hydrogen will stay in the water and soak into that food and do some magical things to it if you so desire. But you know, just drinking the hydrogen water is enough, and inhaling the gas, which I do. And there we go, guys. Who thinks this thing will actually blend? Or do you think it's just gonna burn up my blender? What do you guys think? And then I'll answer some of your questions. I'll start looking at, oh wait, I gotta show you the last magic ingredients that make this smoothie the special thing that it is. Let me grab these. And by the way, any subject you guys want to talk about, go ahead and comment. We'll talk about anything today. You know, I don't like to talk about religion and politics, not because I get upset, but because other people do. But hey, whatever you want, guys. We can talk about health. You can talk about politics. You can talk about whatever you want. It's free market to me. I'm not worried about it as long as you guys are all good. But obviously, I'm just really big on showing people how to be healthy. That's what I care about. I want people to be healthy and I want them to be happy. These are the magic ingredients. Hemp hearts, you've seen the nutrients, ridiculous, like really good. Vitamin D3 in its ionic form, K2, and I'm gonna put a little boron in there. All right, let's see, let's blend this up, see what happens. Ooh, it definitely moved, so it's not stuck. The only thing I want to do is, sometimes I like to put a little extra water in there because sometimes the air bubbles will keep me from being able to put as much water as I like. I like a good amount of water there, otherwise the smoothie gets a little too thick. All right, let's do it. Wow, you can really hear it tearing through these vegetables. All right, that's good. All right, then what I like to do is I like to save some for later. I crave this smoothie so much these days, like for dessert. I don't believe in eating at night, but once in a while, if I get hungry at night, I like to drink a little bit of my smoothie. So I immediately like to put it in a jar, fill it all the way to the top so there's not much oxygen in it, so it doesn't oxidize as much, and immediately put it in the refrigerator. Seal the top, and there it is. My precious smoothie for later. I really, really like it. You know what? Let's make more. And then I'll answer all your questions, guys. We're almost done here. So I'm gonna pour this in there for later again. Seal it. And there it is, guys. You can take these to work for lunch. You can have them for breakfast. You can have them for desserts. All sorts of stuff. Now for me, I'm gonna have it fresh right now. So I like to fill the cup up halfway. Like I said, all my nutrients from my food. There's magical stuff in food that I know science doesn't understand to help you absorb nutrients. That's why I like to use it all together. Here comes the vitamin D. I like to use between 5,000 IUs a day to 10,000. It just depends, sometimes 7. Now we're gonna put a little boron in there. It's good for hormones, both male testosterone and female estrogen, and balancing all that out. And then I pour in the rest of the smoothie, which actually is tasting really good today. I don't know what tasted so good, what I do. Oh yes, I can taste it already. It's so good. Then we'll take the hemp hearts, put these on top. Now this one is dried, but I like the hemp hearts, one, the nutritional content and the flavor, but you need something to chew because all the food is basically chewed up for us in this smoothie, and chewing is very important to activate for digestion. So, okay, let's drink it up. All right, guys. Let's see if I can plug this in because the battery is almost dead. So I'm gonna disconnect my microphone. Hopefully you guys can hear me, and then I'll answer your questions, and then I'll be on my way. I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm on my way. So I gotta go grocery shopping today. Gotta get some more of those greens. Oh yeah, and I got some lab reports here too about the water if you want to see those. Okay guys, let's answer some questions. Okay. Boy, there's probably a lot of questions I missed here. Let's see here. Okay. Let's go with Thomas TJL says, what's the best source of getting food? Farmers markets? I don't actually trust a lot of the farmers markets. I've discovered that they have a lot of little shenanigans. They literally go and buy food from the store and then take it to a farmer's market and pretend they're selling you their freshly grown food. I just try to buy organic from like a store that sells organic produce. So if that answers your question, if not, let me know. Okay. Carol Orton says, do you soak enough nuts just for the day, or do you soak for several days? How long are you soaking the nuts stored in the refrigerator? So I just put enough for the next day. And then that's why the next day, if you notice, I literally use the whole jar and then I fill it up again. So just for overnight. Not says, what is your email? You should have guessed that it was uprising144k at gmail.com. So that's the email. The Roz Rodriguez says, I'm not in therapy, though I should be. Okay, laugh out loud. I'm a therapist, a counselor into mental health. Yeah, you know, I actually have a lot of tips on mental health because I went through all that also, you know. So, in fact, you guys want to see a picture of when I was really happy? Here's me when I was happy. Whee, I'm driving my truck. I just found all these old pictures of when I was a little kid. Anyway, yeah, I think that physical health has a lot to do with mental health, but I also think that you have to change your circumstances in your life to bring the best opportunity, you know, to be happy. And that's a long conversation because I also think that happiness has a lot to do with spirituality. Not religion, but certain things that have to do with spirituality. Okay, let's see here. Okay, hold on. Let's see. There's so many. So yeah, therapy. Ask more questions if I didn't answer them. I'll move to the next one for now. Joni says, is the Mega Home Distiller good? I like that it can make slightly more water. I mean, again, most distillers are fine. I recommend mine for a reason. You know, again, American made, and you know, it's up to you. But this is what I use. Carol says, it will blend for sure. Yeah. I was asking if it'll blend. Clearly it did. Rocky says, should I consider creatine? Lots of buzz lately, not sure if it's a game changer to add to my repertoire. I think if you don't have any issues, foundationally, I think always clean water, clean hydrogen is just foundational. The only concern I would have about creatine, it's not that I think it's bad, it's just your source and the contaminants, and I've seen too much stuff with supplements. But I do think creatine could be good if it's a good source. Not Work says, can we talk about WHO, the group is that keeps polluting our environment? Well, we can talk about it, but I think simply put, they're polluting our environment. I don't think it's by accident, personally. I think it's by design. And they're simply doing it. So we have to find ways to navigate, which kind of sucks, right? We have to have the right type of water filters. Sometimes you have air filters. You have to go and try to find the best organic food you can. They keep trying to mess everything up for everybody. Somebody put, really, WHO? No way, I did not know. Rocky says, your smoothies are definitely a meal replacement. Yeah, that's what they're for. Who's gonna sit down and eat a carrot for breakfast and a beet and swallow chia seeds and eat a salad? I mean, nobody's gonna do that. So I had to find a way based on research really from Japan that shows that we should be eating vegetables first thing in the morning. Renee says, thanks for your information, bro. You're welcome, Renee Smith. Not Work says, how long do the smoothies stay fresh in the mason jars? They're good till tomorrow, but the fresher, the better. That's always the rule of thumb. But if it's all you got, all you got. Renee says, what is the best hydrogen water to use if you don't have the money for the machine? If you don't have the money for the machine, please, for the love of God, don't even do hydrogen. Because if you can't do it properly, you just better off don't do it. That's my personal opinion. Just start with clean water and forget about hydrogen until you can do it correctly. It's kind of like, what's a good example? I guess I can't think of one, but there's many other things you can do for your health. Do clean water, do your smoothies. Don't compromise on your hydrogen. Okay. Reliable Andrew says, do you engage in extended water fasts or dry fasts? Yes, I have. I invented the hydrogen fast. Not Work says, you were such a cute kiddo. Oh, yeah. All these pictures, yeah. All these, I think I have. This is, I'll show you the one that this is, you guys want to see me eating? Probably unhealthy food too. Me eating some unhealthy food. Oh, goodness. All right. Let's see here. Reliable Andrew says, do you consider semen retention beneficial? I personally think it depends, I guess, but there is research that shows that that's not good for you, like actual medical research. That's just the medical data. I know a lot of people talk about that. I just listen to my body. If my body wants water, I have to get it water. And I'm very sensitive, so I really know a lot of what my body likes, but nature calls, as they say. Not Work says, do you use a house filter for your shower? I have one, but look, the truth is about shower filters are not gonna be like that great, because if you read the directions, you'll see that most filters don't work really good with hot water. So unless you're taking cold showers, and it takes, look at my carbon distiller. Even right now, look, I'll show it to you. Jeez, hold on. Trying to make some room here. But look at this thing. One drop at a time. It's literally gonna take 3 to 6 hours to make 1 gallon of water, guys. So your shower, there's no way that those filters are gonna be doing as much as you may think. I just do a quick shower, try to minimize it. But remember, hydrogen protects you. That's why I do all these other things. Daniel says, hi, Greg. Have you ever looked into Kirlian photography and the effect of hydrogen drinking and the effect hydrogen drinking and inhalation has on photography? No. No idea, actually. But thank you for sharing. Let's see, Christiana says, what do you think is going to be the consequences of this new digital financial system? Do you believe there are things we can do other than protect our health? Well, financially, it's a tricky one because, yeah, they're going to take control over all the money. I mean, haven't you noticed the doors are closing little by little? And they just want more control and more control and more control. And kind of like China does, you know, they literally, oh, did somebody just, I think I just thought of something funny. Anyway, I mean, I think that there's no way around it. It's coming one way or another, just like technology. There's not much you're going to be able to do about that. Just save up and try to find a simple life until we get through it, because it's going to be a period of 3.5 to 4 years of suffering, plus another 3.5 or 4 years of great peace, and then things are going to get bad after that, in my opinion. So I don't know if that really answers your question. If it doesn't, try to ask it a different way. Thomas TJL says, do you recommend an air purifier? Yeah, there's a lot of good ones, but yeah, it'd be nice to have one for your home if you own your own home. I don't, but if I have my own home someday, I would like to have a really good air filter. Carol Orton says, I usually drink all mine that I make, but sometimes I make too much and I put it in the freezer immediately. Yeah, I don't like to freeze my smoothies, you know, unless you're gonna probably not drink it for a long time, but I'll usually consume it. If the next day there's smoothie left over, it's still good, I've noticed. It's when it goes the next day that it starts starting to churn. Daniel says, LOL, my smoothie comes up to 1.5 liters and I just force myself to finish it. Whoa, well, don't listen to your body. You don't have to force it. You can always drink it later. Smoothie retention. Reliable Andrew. Do you ozonate your water occasionally? Yeah, not a lot. Like if I were to get a sore throat or something, yeah, I would get ozone, because ozone's good at killing pathogens, bacteria, viruses, you know, parasites, different things. So sometimes I would gargle, but there's many different products that I can use too for something like that, including MMS is a lot cheaper. I use some of that. Notwork says the doors do feel like they're closing. Yeah, they are. You have discussed there will be some more suffering coming. When do you think the 3.5 years of suffering is going to start? It's either going to happen soon, or it's going to happen, it will either start happening within 6 months or so, and if it doesn't happen there, it's going to be a window of time, and it could start around 2030. So it's going to be kind of in these small little windows of time. It's kind of the best thing that I can say, but all of it's going to be done in less than 15 years for sure, and maybe even all happen within 10 years. So we're definitely in a window of time where there's going to be a massive amount of changes happening in the next, I think the big shift is going to come around 2030. The big shift's going to come when the Antichrist shows up, which is going to be 2030, 2032, you know, right around there. If we happen to be off on a few things, it'll definitely be by 2036, 2037 at the absolute latest. It's going to be before 2040. Daniel says, body is used to it without force now after a couple years. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I mean, some of the smoothies people take a little bit to get used to them. Also depends on the ingredients. Reliable Andrew says, what do you think of urine therapy? All right. There is some science on urine therapy that most people don't know about, and it actually, the first research ever done was actually being done in Japan. It was actually legitimate research. There's a lot of things that people are doing wrong about urine therapy. I should probably make a video about it. There is something to it. I don't practice it. I did in the past when I was really sick. It didn't fix me, sadly. And I didn't like really doing it, obviously. But there's a much easier way to do it. I rather just drink clean water, hydrogen, But there is something to it. And you can do it periodically, but you don't have to do all that crazy stuff, in my opinion, at least based on the science of like drinking old urine or aged urine or copious amounts of it. That's not what the data was really showing out of Japan. You could literally have the tiniest little bit, and it did have an effect. And I made a video about it. I never released it. I guess I could release it if you want me to. And then Innocent Star says, "Are you vegetarian or vegan?" You know, I think the way that I eat doesn't fall into any category. Do I eat a lot of vegetables? Yes. You know, do I never have milk? Well, yeah, I don't drink milk, but I'll have yogurt once in a while, not very often. My staple is fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, beans, mushrooms, and like rice. That is the staple for my most of the stuff that I eat. I feel like my jacket looks crooked. Anyway, I don't know if you guys noticed that. But anyway, that's, you know, but doesn't mean that I never have eggs. I'll have eggs once in a while. I'll have fish once in a while, but I will not eat meat. And not because meat is necessarily bad for you guys. I just don't eat it for quote unquote spiritual reasons, and that's just my own thing. But that's just my own opinion on it, because the reason that I don't like to is also, if you look at data, hormones that you ingest dysregulate your natural hormones in your body. And that's one of the reasons that I don't like to eat a lot of foods with hormones. So I avoid them for the most part. And then once in a while, if I have an egg or something that might have some hormone in it, my body doesn't really adapt to it because I don't eat it very often. I just eat it very seldom. And when you eat those foods very seldom, the body actually really absorbs those nutrients really well and does a lot with them. I will have a broth. The Japanese make amazing broths, probably some of the best broths in the world. And I have had some like beef broth, and I don't mind using the magic of water to get nutrients out of the bones or the meat for the most part. Yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. Oh, thanks for all the thumbs up. I just noticed. Thanks, guys. Joaquim says, "Hi from Denmark." Innocent Star says, "Awesome." Not Work says, "It seems your diet is higher carb. Does it work because of all the fiber?" Yeah, people focus too much on the whole carbohydrate thing. So Americans definitely consume too many carbs. So if you're like eating bread, if you obviously have a cheeseburger with carb, you know, with bread, Americans do a lot of the donuts and scones and who knows, Twinkies, sandwiches. People use a lot of carbs. I actually don't. Notice in my breakfast, there's no bread. It's all fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and sometimes I'll put the beans, like the natto, in there. The only carbs that I really consume are very simple, and that is rice. And the Japanese have done research on this, and actually they are showing the body does need carbs. So everybody who's like, no, carbs are bad for you, it's a lot of it's the way that we grow a lot of the wheat and a lot of the grain in America, in my opinion. The Japanese grow their rice very cleanly. I buy organic Japanese rice. That's what I buy. And within certain reasons. So I have a certain amount of portion of rice, you know, the certain amount of vegetables, and then of course all my nuts and my beans and my mushrooms and different things. And so I keep things kind of simple, but I follow the Japanese way mostly because they live so long and they have so much data to support it. And also things that make sense. It doesn't make sense to eat nothing but meat. It doesn't make sense to only eat vegetables. You need a variety of things, and that's what the Japanese have ultimately discovered, is that you do need a variety of things. So that's, I listen to my body and I consume, you know, based on the way that I feel. And I also do blood work to make sure that it's working. But the smoothie is a huge, you know, part of it. Hopefully that answers your question. Not Work says, "Do you like white rice or brown rice?" I used to like brown rice, but I switched to white rice. The reason I did that doesn't mean that I'm right, but there is a guy. His name's Kukai. He's one of the first monks ever to self-mummify, and he had to switch to white rice when he was trying to self-mummify for the purity of it. So I went along with that just because it appeared to have a more pure aspect to the body. It's kind of weird. It doesn't mean that I'm right, but Japanese eat a lot of white rice. And like I said, they seem very healthy. And then Notwork says, where can I buy the rice? Well, I go to a Japanese food store. That's where I find it. You might be able to find it online, but that's where I find it. Joaquim says, what are your thoughts on pregnancy, diet, and hydrogen water? Well, I have seen, give me 1 second. I don't know if you can hear me. Hold on 1 second. Bring that smoothie over here. So, when it comes to pregnancy, I have worked, so here's the thing. When it comes to babies, and I'm gonna tell you guys my opinions about babies. Absolutely magical, in my personal opinion. And babies, according to data, so this is the data that I'm gonna just share with you, take it for what it's worth. But remember, what we do to kids, we should also be good to adults. But kids are more sensitive, like a little plant. And so, babies are the #1 people at risk for contamination in our water. Why? And it honestly is very sad. It saddens me a great deal. That's why I do what I do. Babies are at the highest risk. And by the way, there's even radioactive contaminants in our water. They're at the highest risk because their bodies aren't fully developed. Their kidneys, their liver, their brain, their body's not fully developed, guys. They can't fight this stuff off. To me, it's like an epidemic that all these kids are getting sick. And there's many things behind it. It's not just one thing. But if you can give your kids anything, please clean their water. Pathogens in our water too. I told you, bacteria, parasites, viruses, mold, all sorts of different stuff. I've known a woman who had kids without the clean water and hydrogen. She discovered me. She started using the clean water and hydrogen, got pregnant. By the way, it actually appears to make you more fertile, by the way, just an FYI. They're using hydrogen in fertility clinics. Anyway, she gets pregnant again, and she had what I call a hydrogen baby. And that baby, she said, is so much healthier, so much more at peace. She had less complications with the pregnancy as compared to all her other children. It seems to make a huge difference. So I think it would be amazing to use clean water and clean hydrogen for pregnancy. That's my opinion. Now, granted, properly made hydrogen. I would never use a hydrogen tablet or any of these cheap products when it comes to pregnancy or children. No way. No, 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 no. Innocent Star says, do you have pets? No, I don't. I mean, I don't own this place, so I just rent a room. So there are animals outside. There's literally like deer, there's coyotes, there's a fox, there's a lot of rabbits, there's cats, stuff like that. But I don't know, I don't have animals because I used to, and when I was really sick, I realized about parasites. You really shouldn't have animals indoors. It's kind of a problem. And I love them though, I love animals. Reliable Andrew says, do you take additional digestive systemic enzymes at all or occasionally? Almost never. My food is full of enzymes, but once in a while, there are some that I have taken or that I take, and I do like them sometimes, but I don't like to rely on them too much. You know what? I take enzymes typically if I eat a cheap meal that I know will be hard to digest. Like if I have a pizza. I had a pizza the other day with mushrooms, but you know, the bread and the cheese and those things, which I don't do very often, but when I do them, I try to take enzymes. Though my body can tolerate it just fine because of the way I take care of myself. But it's a good idea. Have you ever tried raw milk and experienced any kind of benefits from it? No, I haven't. And I'm not gonna say it's bad for you or anything, but I don't go out of my way trying to find raw milk. And I don't have access to it anyway. Thomas TJL says, where do you get natto in America? Japanese food store, Chinese food store, or Korean food store, some type of Asian food store. You can go look. They have in the freezer section. And if you don't find it there, there's a place you can order it online. Apparently they're making it in America too. Make sure to get the stuff that's from Japan. #1 choice. If not, second two will be America. Don't buy any natto that's from China. Sorry, but I wouldn't. Could you do a video on how to parasite cleansing? I have already made that video. It was removed by YouTube. I am not allowed to tell you guys how to kill parasites apparently. So I apologize for that. And the protocol is pretty in depth, but one of the simple things you can do if you want to ever read about it is get some food grade diatomaceous earth. That stuff is really good. Protocols are all over the place online. And it helps. It doesn't get rid of all the parasites, but it helps clean out your GI. You might be surprised to find out that these smoothies have a lot of anti-parasitic properties to it too. So you can do some of that also. All right, any other questions, guys? Purity for your family. Guys, water. I mean, I'm not kidding you. There's so much information too, and all the effects of the things in the water, if you want me to read some of this stuff off. Inorganic contaminants, lead, mercury, arsenic, even copper. See, this is the thing too. Copper can be good for you, but you want it from your food. I wish I had the, I think I put it away. Well, see, this is exactly what I mean too. Hold on, let me show you. Because some things can be really bad for you, and yet the very same thing can supposedly be good for you, like in hemp hearts. I'll show you this part right here. It's got a lot of copper, but this is from your food. It's different. There's a difference between organic and inorganic minerals. One can be a heavy metal, one can be good for you. So they also found radioactive contaminants in water, which is shocking, and a distiller, like the one I'm using, is really good to remove pretty much all of it. Radium, uranium, plutonium, if you can imagine this stuff. Literally radioactive contaminants. Then you wonder why your water is making you sick. Not kidding, guys. It's a no-brainer to clean your water. I think only a fool would drink tap water, though a lot of doctors do. Reliable Andrew says, Greg, do you self-administer enemas at all to detox? No, but I have in the past. What I do now is very different than what I did in the past. In the past, I was trying to be very extreme because I had extreme health problems. Once you get, to the level where I'm at now, I don't think I have to do all that stuff as much, and I don't. I will once in a while. I'll do a cleanse once in a while, but I haven't done one for a while. Biological contaminants, E. coli, Giardia, just living organisms, guys. And then they even have stuff like herbicides, pesticides, gasoline, solvents. Anyway, I'm a water nut. Who doesn't want clean water? Joaquim says, would you recommend taking supplements if pregnant? Well, I would do exactly what I'm doing. I'd make these smoothies, get the nutritional powder that I'm using that has all this good stuff in it that's in food, or that is food. It's all just food. But the only thing I would supplement if I was pregnant would be vitamin D, clean water, and hydrogen. Too important. You got to do those, in my opinion. And if you want a healthy baby, because I don't think people realize that I really think there's a connection between nutritional deficiencies and chemicals and babies that are born with problems, or babies that are just not at their best. If I had a baby, I don't know about you guys, but if I were to ever have a baby, which I probably won't because I don't have a lot of years left. We only live till average 70 something years old. So it's kind of too late for me, but it's fine. I'm okay with it. The thing is that if I were gonna have a baby, you better believe that I would take care of this baby like you don't even know. Like the nutrients that I would have to get into the mother, the healthy baby that I want to be born. And I don't want the medical establishment to touch my baby, right? I want this baby to be natural. I want to give him all the nutrients that he needs, the super clean water, the breast milk, the colostrum that comes out of the breast before the milk, all these different things that I would want for my child. But we live in a really crazy world. It's one of the reasons I've chosen to not really have kids in this quote unquote lifetime, but yeah, that's what I would do. Really good hydration. Thomas says, is almond milk okay to consume? Well, here's the only issue with some of those. Read the ingredients. A lot of times they add sugar. It's all processed sugar. Anything that uses processed sugar, I don't like. And they just use water. You don't know what kind of water they're using. You can make your own almond milk. So it just kind of depends what water they're using and the purity of their ingredients. I probably wouldn't rely on it that much. Carol says, IV, Fen, diatomaceous earth. That is correct. That is the 3 things that I use for my anti-parasitic protocol, and then just my smoothies and hydrogen water and clean water. Reliable Andrew says, Greg, did you avoid the little, I'm not going to say the word, Reliable Andrew, but it does say, and have you ever used health zappers in the past? I've used health zappers. They didn't really do anything. As far as the little needle thing that they forced on a lot of people, the simple answer is no. I would not be, I don't want to say dumb enough, because some people were truly fooled. It wasn't their fault or forced on them. But again, I know how the medical system works. I work there, and I know how much they don't know. So when something new came out, I'm like, no way I'm jumping on this train. Are you kidding? I'm gonna wait and see how things go, because I've known too much, I've seen too much, and I'm one of these guys who's like, I'm gonna wait and make sure that this is really the right thing. Kind of like even with cars, like some new car comes out, you buy it and it has all these problems that you didn't know about. So I always like to wait it out. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that's a pretty simple answer. I'm a purist. I'm a naturalist in the sense that I like natural things for the body and what makes sense. Once in a while, I might do something like the stem cells. The stem cells were mind blowing. I did the best stem cells that you could find. I made sure that they were from patients that had never received any certain medicines. And they were just from an umbilical cord. They weren't from the actual baby. Baby was born healthy. Everybody's happy. They were gonna toss the umbilical cord away anyway. So, you know, yada, yada, yada. Do you consider swimming in ocean water or spring water to be dangerous? No, not if, I mean, if you don't know how to swim, it could be dangerous. But no, I don't think it's dangerous. You know, I love swimming in the ocean. I mean, look, there's contaminants everywhere. That's the reason that you take care of yourself. People don't know that hydrogen appears to protect you big time. And in a world as polluted as we're in, you better believe I'm going to be using my hydrogen to protect me. Happy and healthy levels of glutathione, which hydrogen has been shown to have healthy levels of it, and proper levels of vitamin D are very protective. And I've achieved all those. So I don't worry a lot about all the other stuff. You know, I don't sweat it, because otherwise it's too stressful. And stress is not good for you either. So I do the best I can. Let the chips fall what they may. If I ever get sick, then I get sick, and that's just the way that it is, you know? So, all right, so let's see here. This is pretty cool. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. So when you get a water filter, you get a brand new filter and it looks so great, but the quality of your water as you filter more, it goes like this. When you do the distillation, the quality of your water is the same every time. So that's cool. I like distillation. Clearly, I'm sharing it with you guys. The problem is because these porous filters, they get dirty. And that's why as they get dirty, the quality of your water goes down. It's never the highest quality. That's why these water filter companies, in some ways, I don't want to say they're tricking you, but when they show you a lab report, they're showing you one with a brand new filter. They're not showing you what happens 500 gallons later or 1,000 gallons. I tell you, they're sneaky. All right, Joaquin says, what are your thoughts about spirulina? Do you use it? It's already in my smoothie, bud. Yeah, I like chlorella. Spirulina is okay. I prefer chlorella. But yeah, it's in the purine powder, so already in here. I think it's super good stuff. Chlorella is known as one of the top superfoods ever. And that also goes for natto. Natto and chlorella are like unbelievable, off the charts, tons of nutrients, good minerals, really, really amazing stuff. So I'm a fan. Spirulina, not as much, but I'm still a fan. Reliable Andrew says, you know they say urine has stem cells that can be used. Not sure though. Well, I mean, you have a lot of stem cells in your body already. Hydrogen has been shown to be really quite good in regards to that too. So, all right, guys. I don't know if I've answered all your questions. Oh, somebody asked about their animal. Yeah, if you can't get them to drink the water or inhale the gas, there's not much I can tell you other than try to give them the best food. All right, guys. Thanks for all the thumbs up. Thanks for hanging out. Oh wait, we got more questions. Deborah says, I live in a beach and spring water area, and I've always swam in both. Though lately the incident of flesh-eating bacteria, has increased in our area. Well, yeah, I would be more worried about like springs, lakes, things like that. I probably would be more apt to want to swim in the ocean. The ocean has a lot of salt and is good at killing a lot of pathogens. But yeah, I mean, you know what I really prefer? I prefer to be in hot springs. I don't swim in the ocean a lot, and I don't swim, once in a while I'll swim in rivers. But you're right, things are just so nuts these days, You know what I'm gonna do, by the way? Since, if you guys have questions, I'll stick around a little bit longer, because what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna scrape off the residue of this while you guys are asking questions. So, but yeah, it's really sad these days. I think we have to be cautious right now more than we've ever had to be. It's one of the reasons that I have to go through such extremes to clean my water. And also we'll have to go through some extremes in regards to our health these days and buying all these organic foods and everything else, and it sucks that we have to do that, but that is the world we live in. So we have to do what we have to do, in order to stay healthy. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Did you get that booklet from Pure Water? Yeah, they gave me that booklet. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Somebody says, the springs in my area are constant 72 to 74 degrees here. Wow. I mean, that's really cool. But yeah, I would be cautious. Thanks, Greg. You're the best, says not work. Thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this helpful. And I'll see you guys next time on the next one.